I was about 20 or 21 at the time this incident took place. I was a female university student, but I commuted to my campus, so I lived at home. A good friend of mine went to the same school, so we stayed close into our adulthood. She had recently started working out at a branch of a popular chain of gyms that was nearby, and she asked me to be her gym buddy. I was more than happy to, and I started joining her. Whenever we went, we had our little routine: weights, cardio, and then to the pool. This gym had a great pool for laps, but of course you had to shower before you got in, especially after working up a sweat doing other exercises. The locker room connected the main section of the complex to the pool area, and it had little cubicles to shower off in. We used these showers all the time without a second thought. The building had been around for a long time. Before it was this particular gym, it was another gym from a different company, and so on. The place wasn't exactly modern or renovated, and in some areas, the showers in particular, it was pretty dilapidated. Some of the tiles were cracked or had fallen off completely. One day, the stall I was in was missing tiles all around the handles, but I didn't pay attention to it. I figured it was only pipework back there. But that day, I got an odd feeling. So I bent down to look through the hole in the shower wall. Lo and behold, there was a pair of eyes staring straight at me. I could tell it was a man, maybe middle-aged. Even staring directly at him, having caught him peeping, he stared right on. He never looked away. His gaze animalistic and intent. The hole went straight through to another room, presumably the showers in the men's locker room. I turned the shower head so that I could hide in the corner and finish up out of his line of sight, and I promptly reported it to the staff. They went looking for him in the men's locker room, but never found the culprit. I jogged my memory, trying to recall if any particular person had been watching me in the gym that day, but it could have been any one of dozen or so men I casually walked out next to. In the same room, none the wiser. Within only a couple of days, the staff had patched up all the shower walls. I'm glad it won't happen to any other unsuspecting girls there, but shower peeper? Let's not meet.
Go back to sleep. Boy, oh boy, do I have an experience to share with all of you today. This happened earlier this year during spring break. For quick reference, I'm a sophomore in college, and I live with one other roommate, who we will call Samantha. Anyways, I was working the night shift at McDonald's, and I didn't get home until almost 1 in the morning. By the time I arrived, I'm exhausted, tired, eyes heavier than a 100-pound dumbbell. I couldn't wait to get into bed. But before I did so, I stepped into the shower to try to get the smell of grease and french fries off of my skin. While I'm in the shower, I heard the distinct sound of my bedroom door being opened, followed by footsteps. Assuming it was Samantha, I call her name, to which I get no reply. It was a bit strange since she normally would respond, but I assumed she was just grabbing my phone charger. She had told me earlier in the morning that hers had stopped working, and thus I told her she was free to use mine. As for not responding, I explained this away as the sound of the shower muffling my voice. So about 10 minutes later, I step out of the shower, I dry myself, and I change into my pajamas, and finally, I lay in bed. Here's when I noticed something. My charger was still plugged into my outlet. Well, that was funny. I look around my room trying to see if perhaps Samantha had grabbed something else. Everything looked untouched. Strange. Maybe I'd imagined the footsteps. Either way, I knocked out almost immediately. Now, I don't know how long I must have been out for, but at one point, I was awoken by movement in my bed. Just so you know, I have no pets, and Samantha has her own bed, thus I found the movement quite bizarre. I slowly opened my eyes, and what I saw laying next to me was one of the scariest sights of my life. There, staring back at me, with one of the most confused expressions I'd ever seen, was a homeless guy. I was still somewhat out of it, but I do remember mumbling, "Who are you, and what are you doing in my bed?" I recall a simple reply as the man whispered back,
"Go back to sleep."
Hearing that, I snap out of my drowsiness, jump out of my bed, and I grab the pepper spray that was on my nightstand. Who the hell are you? Get out of my house! Now! The man pretty much noped out of the bed. He ran out of the room, and seconds later, I hear the front door slam open and then close. Once I no longer heard him, I head over to Samantha's room, only to see it was empty. I now had clarification. I'd heard footsteps in the shower, and it wasn't Samantha. Funny enough, she texted me just 5 minutes after the homeless man ran out of my home. She told me she was going to stay at her boyfriend's house. Well, once I told her what happened, I called the police, and they take my statement when they got there. To this day, I'm absolutely frightened anytime I'm home alone. They never did find the man, but I just hope he never shows up again, because next time, I'll have no problem using my pepper spray. Edit. A lot of people were wondering how the man had gotten into the home to begin with. I forgot to include this, but we have a 2-car garage that's attached to our home. The garage door is the kind you use a remote in order to open. Sadly, it had been broken, and we had to resort to opening it by hand. This meant that the homeless man probably tried opening it out of curiosity, and he managed to successfully make his way inside after closing the door behind him. I believe I'd forgotten to lock the kitchen door, which is attached to the garage. So, I believe that explains it.
Just a few details before I start. This happened a year ago. I was 18 years old. I moved in with my mom last summer because my parents are annulled, and my dad decided that I should study here because there's this one school here that has a really good reputation when it came to the course I wanted to take up. So I was new to the neighborhood. Right across our house was a computer shop where, lucky for me, had League of Legends installed in most of the computers. I'm pretty addicted, so I spent most of the time there since it was still vacation. I made friends quick because I guess guys here rarely saw a girl who played League. So I got to know 2 guys really well. They were way older than me and treated me like their little sister. They were always with me since they told me that although the dudes here act nice, they end up being jerks once they get used to you. They named a few, and I avoided those few most of the time. So let me get to the story now. A few weeks into summer, our bathroom wasn't working very well, and we only had 1 bathroom in the house. I know, but we're not that rich, and most of the houses here in the Philippines that are owned by average people only have 1 bathroom. Our house has a faucet at the back, and so everyone in the house took a bath there for a week. We had a hard time looking for someone who could fix the bathroom because my mom said that this happened a few years back and that they had it fixed, but the plumber did a sloppy job, and so it happened again. The walls surrounding the back portion of the house are pretty tall, and there was absolutely no way anyone could see us, not unless they were actually standing there with you. And we had put up this curtain thing too, just in case. For that reason, I took a bath there for a week completely naked. In my defense, everyone else was doing it, and I really thought that nobody would see me. I was horrified when I found out I was wrong. A few weeks after our bathroom was fixed, an unknown number texted me asking me where I was. I didn't respond because I figured it must have been sent to me by accident, but a few minutes later, the unknown number called me. I answered it, about to tell whoever it was they got the wrong number, when a very breathy, low voice cut me off. He sounded kinda high and drunk. "Hello, Steph. I texted you. Where are you?" I didn't know what to say. I thought it was one of my friends and that it was a joke. "Steph, why don't you take a bath at back anymore?" And so I freaked the fuck out and ended the call and blocked his number from calling me. He was still able to send me text messages before I was able to figure out how to block him from texting me too. Here are a few of them. "I want to see you taking a bath again, Steph. Can we meet up right now? Please take a bath there again, one last time." There were a few more, but they're really bad and stuff. I told my 2 guy friends about it, and they told me it was probably one of the guys who really likes smoking weed and getting drunk every day that was texting me. I felt horrible. I was so paranoid as to how he was able to see me taking a bath. I mean, how the hell did he even know that I was taking a bath at the back of our house in the first place? We never told anyone. I mean, why would we? Only the family knew that we had to take baths at the back and no one else. And the walls were high up. The neighboring houses weren't 2-story houses, so it's impossible. Maybe there was a hole in the wall, but there weren't any. I checked the walls and there was none. Fortunately, he didn't try contacting me again, but I seriously feel creeped out whenever I'm alone in the living room at night because I feel like someone is staring at me. I keep the curtains closed all the time in my room now. I never found out who it really was, but Mr. Peeping Tom, let's not meet. Ever.
This happened a few years ago in my old one-person flat. I had a strange feeling that something wasn't right for a few days. Like, I was sure that food in the fridge was less than I put back the last time, and I found pillows from my couch on the floor, stuff like that. I lived alone back then, so there wasn't anyone else with access to my flat, or so I thought. Well, one night I woke up around 1 in the morning, sweating, and even though I don't remember, I was sure I woke up from a nightmare. Since I was drenched in sweat, I decided to take a shower. So I put my phone up in the bathroom for music, turned on the water, and enjoyed my shower. A few minutes in, I heard the door move. I never closed it shut, but it still never moves for no reason, since I'm behind the shadow curtain. I suddenly see a shadow against it. I glanced at my phone and could clearly see a reflection on my screen that showed someone standing right next to the shower curtain. It took me a lot not to scream and to keep acting like I didn't notice anything. I decided to take the shower head off the holding and turn the water all the way to boiling hot. I'm still kind of impressed by that quick thinking. Our water got really hot when you cranked it all the way to hot, and a few seconds later, steam was rising and the water hurt my feet, flowing to the drain. I turned around, ripped the shower curtain open, and held the shower head right at the person behind. It was a woman. She screamed in pain. I whacked her in the face with the shower head and jumped out of the shower and ran to the door, taking the key out of the lock and locking it behind me. A little later, she started to bang on the door, but the door didn't give. I called the cops and went to the kitchen to get my big kitchen knife, just for safety. But I felt like my throat was closing up when I saw it was missing. The police came and arrested the woman, who turned out to have been the former person living in the flat and was later evicted after not paying rent. Apparently, she made a copy of the key and came into the flat when I was at work and sometimes at night. It's possible that what woke me up in the first place was her, and honestly, I don't even want to think about it. Ever since then, I always insist that the locks are changed when I move into a new place.
A couple of months ago, while house sitting / dog sitting for my parents, I had an eerie feeling. As an obsessive ID channel watcher and younger female, I played it off as paranoia. During these few days, whenever I took the dog out, he suddenly began sniffing areas he never sniffed before, particularly under each of our windows. And thankfully, it's because of him that I discovered 2 larger footprints under a window that looks directly into our living / dining room. Around this time, about 2 months ago, I noticed a man walking up and down our street that I'd never seen in the entirety of my life. Small, Midwestern town. He also had, in my opinion, odd mannerisms, prolonged eye contact, continued staring and craning his neck as he walked by and never returned my smiles, hellos, or waves. Eventually, I became irritated due to how creeped out I was with both him and the eerie feeling in general, and decided to wave. Upon no acknowledgement in return, other than a cold stare, I got up and acted like I was going to follow him down the street, to which made him walk faster and turn a sudden corner. Never saw him again. Now today, I help my parents out by picking up their dog from the groomers. As it's right up the street and a safe suburban area, oftentimes I don't lock while running errands in town. When I returned home with the dog, I had an unexplained, horrible feeling the minute I walked in the door. Something, maybe a blanket, seemed misplaced. Something was off. I threw a load of laundry on in the basement and quickly stood up and looked around. No one there. Then I proceed to the bathroom to check my makeup, and right then I look down to my left and there's feces in the toilet, with no toilet paper and not flushed. I've been the only one home all morning. I immediately throw back the shower curtain and start shaking. Adrenaline? And when nothing is there, I close the bathroom door and lock myself inside. I called dispatch. They arrived in less than 2 minutes. Searched the entire property. Make me check my laptop to see if any recent search history isn't my own. Interesting. And check the fridge to see if food is missing. All valuables are accounted for. I know this isn't my feces. No one in my family would have a bowel movement and not use toilet paper or flush. I know someone has been here. Yet, because I love horror movies and the ID channel, they think I'm crazy. Hey, dude, I now have my dad's hunting/fillet knife on me, so let's not meet.
So this happened about 2 years ago, and it still gives me the chills when I think about it. Before I explain the story, it's important to understand the layout of the second floor of my home. When you walk up the stairs, the first room is a bathroom, and then it's my room, then my parents' room. So usually I wake up once a night to go to the bathroom, and my parents never notice since they sleep like actual babies. Nothing will wake them up other than the sunlight in the morning, a really loud alarm, or a light turned on the second floor. So anyway, I wake up and go to the bathroom as usual, and to avoid waking them up, I do not turn on the light. The toilet is close to the opposite wall from the door, so you have a clear view of the door when you do your business. So I finished what I needed to do, and then I turned towards the door, and oh god, there he is, only visible by the moonlight. I saw a very tall man in a baby mask, kind of like the mask Eleven wears in Stranger Things. I was so in shock that I didn't even scream. I just stared, and he stared back. After what felt like forever, he slowly puts his finger up to his mask and does a shush motion, tilted his head, and raised a knife as a threat. I felt like my heart dropped, and I nodded. Then he took a step towards me and whispered, "Don't let the bedbugs bite," and then left the bathroom. I heard him slowly walk downstairs, open the front door and shut it. I immediately checked out the bathroom window, which looks down on my street, to make sure he had actually gone outside and was not still inside. I saw him wave at me and then run off. I ran out of the bathroom and into my parents' room to wake them up, told them what happened, and they called the police. They found him a couple hours later, completely high and with a couple of stolen items. He didn't steal anything from our house though. Anyway, every time I go to the bathroom at night now, I close the door, turn on the light, check the shower, and do my business.